Welcome to Prescribing Lifestyle, the podcast that's all about empowering you to live your healthiest, happiest life. I'm your host, Dr. Avi Charlton, and each week we'll dive into the latest research, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you optimize your well-being. From nutrition and fitness to mental health and mindfulness, we'll explore every aspect of lifestyle medicine, giving you the tools you need to make informed decisions and take control of your health. Whether you're looking into preventing disease, managing chronic conditions, or simply elevate your quality of life, Prescribing Lifestyle is here to guide you on your journey to wellness. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to embark on this transformative adventure towards a healthier, happier you. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about the story of mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells and how they shape our health. You might have heard about this little thing called mitochondria. They are the tiny power plants in our cell. I asked my 15-year-old boy who studied science in his school, and he can tell me what mitochondria is. He tells me it's the little powerhouses of the cell. It is responsible for generating energy. That's certainly true. And in fact, this little tiny mitochondria is the key to energy, longevity, and health. It is the key to how we age. And I'm going to challenge you that we really should be looking after our mitochondria so we can have good energy, function properly, and age gracefully. So in this episode of Prescribing Lifestyle, I'm going to tell you the little story of what the mitochondria is, the origin, the function, the diseases that's linked to mitochondrial dysfunction, and how to optimize mitochondrial health. And this can give you lots of energy so you can function better, live better, thrive in your life, and you can age better, actually even reverse aging, and live better, improve longevity. So the story goes, once upon a time, about 1.5 to 2 billion years ago, the world only consists of single-cell organisms. All the life is just one cell. There's only bacteria that exist in the world. Everything is one cell, and everything there is only bacteria. They work on fermentation, and one day, one ancient bacteria decided to eat another bacteria. This bacteria that was eaten decided to talk to the bacteria that ate it and said, "Hey, don't digest me. If you keep me alive, I will help you with producing energy." So this bacteria that managed to be eaten has managed to survive. And the bacteria that ate the other bacteria has decided that, okay, well, that's a good idea. Let's live together. So they lived in a symbiotic relationship, which means they lived together in harmony. They decided to have both together. So the engulfed bacteria became the mitochondria. It specializes in energy production, and the host provided this little mitochondria, little bacteria, provided protection. This is the partnership that paved the way to complex life that evolved over billions of years. Interestingly, the mitochondria contains its own DNA, and if you look into the DNA of mitochondria, it is only inherited from your mother. So the mother is so powerful, and we can trace back the mitochondrial DNA and find out where our ancestry comes from. And we can even trace back to an Eve mitochondria comes from Africa. So very, very interesting. So the cell has its own nucleus. It could be hundreds or thousands of mitochondria, and different types of cells has different number of mitochondria. All except one type of cell has mitochondria. And what cell does not have mitochondria? It is the red blood cell. The red blood cell has no mitochondria because it has a concave structure and it is responsible for transporting oxygen to the rest of your body. So all cells except the red blood cell consist of mitochondria. And some cell has more. Your muscles have more mitochondria to produce more energy. Your heart cells has lots of mitochondria as well. And other cells does not have as many mitochondria. And to say that the mitochondria is the power plant of the cell actually makes it sound quite mechanical. But in fact, it does much more than producing energy. The mitochondria actually can communicate with other mitochondria and other parts of the body. It sends each other text messages, like our modern text messages. So mitochondria sends other mitochondria text messages, and mitochondria also sends tissues like the gut, the hormones, text messages to how to produce hormone, like brain and the heart and muscles. It sends messages to teach our body how to function, how to make energy. These text messages are actually chemicals, little chemical in terms of ions like calcium or sodium, or even tiny bit of chemical, or protein in terms of hormones. And that is how the mitochondria connects with your organs like heart and the muscle or brain, or hormone generating organs like the pituitary gland, the endocrine gland, to tell it how to work and what hormones to produce. So there's lots of communication between the mitochondria itself, and the mitochondria communicates with other parts of the body. The mitochondria also communicates and works with other mitochondria by fusing and dividing with other mitochondria to adapt to the energy needs of the cell. So you can have two mitochondria fused together to make a bigger mitochondria, or you can divide one mitochondria and make two mitochondria. And they share DNA contents, they share proteins and metabolites, and they can help to repair damage and maintain the function. This helps to repair dysfunctional mitochondria, and we call this process mitophagy. Mitophagy means damaged mitochondria is removed from the system, just like autophagy. Autophagy is the waste material, the rubbish material from our cells is chucked away, and this happens when you go to sleep and through lots of processes in our body. Autophagy and mitophagy is done, and it's a garbage material chucked into the bin and get rid of our body. Fasting, intermittent fasting, also helps with autophagy and mitophagy, cleaned out the waste system and helps to maintain bodily function, helps to prioritize our body function. So what happens if our mitochondria doesn't function properly? In fact, our modern lifestyle is not good for our mitochondrial health, because there's lots of things in our modern lifestyle that damages the mitochondrial health. Then this mitochondria doesn't work properly. The structure of the mitochondria isn't good. You can actually see it in the tiny microscope, which I don't have access with, but the scientists have looked at images of dysfunctional mitochondria. There are genetic conditions that babies are born with genetic mitochondrial diseases, but a lot of the modern diseases are related to mitochondrial dysfunction when the mitochondria doesn't work properly. So let's talk about why does the mitochondria not work properly? Our inflammation really affects mitochondria. For example, our modern diet. Vegetable oil, seed oil, sugar, processed food definitely affects our mitochondria. Our lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, not moving enough, not getting enough sunlight and not getting enough energy from the sun can also affect mitochondria. Not getting enough nutrients in terms of vitamin D can also do that. Not sleeping enough, not getting enough restorative sleep, so the mitochondria fails to repair, can also affect our mitochondria. Stress can generate oxidative stress, affects our sugar system, generating more sugar. And toxins can also affect mitochondrial function, such as processed foods, environmental toxins, drugs, even medications, and alcohol and smoking. So what happens when we have mitochondrial dysfunction? What diseases is related to mitochondrial dysfunction? Again, there are genetic diseases which you can't help yourself if you have inherited genetic conditions, but most of the time it's the modern diseases related to mitochondrial dysfunction. The most usual thing that I have been interested in is insulin resistance. In fact, 88% of the population have signs of insulin resistance, which means only 12% of the population is healthy. This is shown in the study in 2016. In America and Australia and other parts of the world in the Western world is really not far behind. So insulin resistance often is related to our modern lifestyle with too much sugar, too much processed foods, too much carbohydrates, as well as other lifestyle things that's related to stress, lack of exercise, and toxins. So insulin resistance leads to metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome also means that our metabolism isn't right, which also really means our mitochondria isn't functioning properly to produce energy, to produce ATP, the energy molecules. Obesity is also related to our mitochondrial dysfunction because our mitochondria doesn't function properly. We are storing and storing more and more fat rather than burning fat as our energy process. And quite often, our body fails to know how to burn fat because we're relying on glucose too much. Diabetes is another thing that happens when we have too much insulin resistance that our mitochondria doesn't function properly. Cardiovascular disease is also related to inflammation that our mitochondria doesn't function properly, which leads to our heart and the calcifications in our heart arteries led by inflammation. Chronic fatigue syndrome is really another thing that is related to mitochondrial dysfunction. We can actually feel the energy dropping and we don't have enough energy. Sometimes chronic fatigue syndrome is to do with a viral infection, for example, long COVID. Sometimes it is to do with the diet, sometimes it's inflammation, aging that is related to chronic fatigue syndrome. And there's other infections like Lyme disease, dengue fever, glandular fever, chronic infection that causes chronic fatigue syndrome. There's lots more evidence showing that mental health conditions is also related to mitochondrial dysfunction because our brain is lacking energy. For example, there's evidence showing that mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, even schizophrenia, ADHD, and bipolar disorder all is related to mitochondrial dysfunction because the brain is lacking energy, not enough energy going into the brain, and hence the brain doesn't function properly. Then there are neurodegenerative diseases that is related to mitochondrial dysfunction. For example, Alzheimer's disease is really caused by the brain not getting enough glucose because the glucose can't cross the blood-brain barrier. Other neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's disease and is all related to mitochondrial dysfunction. So sometimes we can improve brain function in Alzheimer's dementia patients by improving the fueling of the brain by changing the fuel system from burning glucose to burning fat. The new interest in me that is what is related to mitochondrial dysfunction is cancer. So cancer, we're now knowing more and more that understanding more that cancer is a metabolic condition. There doesn't used to be lots of cancer back in the olden days, but there's more and more cancer. So cancer can be because of the mitochondria not functioning properly. It's caused by lots of a combination of modern diet, sedentary lifestyle, toxins, lack of sleep, stress, all that can contribute to the development of all sorts of cancer. So many modern conditions and diseases contributes to mitochondrial dysfunction. How do we optimize mitochondrial health? I'll give you a few tips so you can prioritize your health and think about how you can improve your mitochondrial health. The first thing, of course, that comes to mind is your diet. Improving your diet in reducing simple sugars, vegetable oils, seed oils, and reducing carbohydrates can certainly improve mitochondrial health. There's evidence showing that ketogenic diet by optimizing ketones is certainly anti-inflammatory. Fueling your body with ketones can improve mitochondria rather than relying on the fuel system of glucose. Intermittent fasting is also really great to improve mitochondria. So we don't need to eat all the time. Doing a 16-8 fast, so means not eating for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour period can really improve autophagy, means cleaning out our body system, and mitophagy, it means cleaning out our damaged mitochondria. And even if you can do a 16-hour fast, some people can increase their fasting to a 24-hour fast or even a 36-hour fast. Again, you might need medical supervision, especially if you're on medications. Exercise can help you build mitochondria and improve mitochondrial function, and you might need to slowly increase your exercise tolerance. There are aerobic exercise, which can be walking, can be building up to running, cardiovascular exercises such as cycling, And resistant training, strength training, can really help to build mitochondria and improve your mitochondrial health. And improving your hormonic stress by slowly improving your exercise tolerance can really make our mitochondria stronger. There's also evidence showing that cold exposure, so you might want to go outside when it's cold, or even exposing yourself to cold showers or ice baths can be a hormetic stress. So stressing your body out, making your mitochondria work a bit harder, helping your mitochondria function better. Heat exposure is also great. Heat exposure means, for example, sauna. So if you sit in a sauna for 10 minutes at a time, a few times a week, that can certainly help improve your mitochondria. Red light therapy, sunlight exposure can also improve our mitochondrial function. If you get more sunlight, especially going outside first thing in the morning or evening, and of course save sun exposure and not getting sunburnt, and reducing artificial light exposure can also help. Getting enough sleep can make your body do its clean-up process when you're sleeping, and that enhances autophagy and mitophagy. Of course, it also reduces stress and improves your metabolic health. And learning how to manage your stress, reducing stress, can also help to improve your mitochondrial function, and also improve your metabolic health and reduce your body with producing too much sugar. And one thing that I'm really interested in is breath work. So breath work not just reduces stress, it also improves your carbon dioxide tolerance, in that you can teach your body to hold more carbon dioxide. In that, it actually gets your body to deliver more oxygen molecules into your body system. For example, your muscle, your heart can get more oxygen delivered, and that can, of course, improve your mitochondrial functions as well. So many things that I have touched upon in the lifestyle. Then there's toxins. So reducing toxins can really help with improving mitochondria. There are certain medications, drugs that are prescribed that affect mitochondria, and even illicit drugs like marijuana and even cannabis, heroin, that are no good for the mitochondria. Alcohol, smoking can also affect our mitochondrial health. Endocrine disruptors like plastics and even hormones and shampoos can also disrupt our mitochondrial health. So this is a roundup of what our mitochondria is, and these are the little powerhouses of our cell. They don't just generate energy, they talk to each other, send text messages to each other, and even talk to our other body function to teach our body to work properly. So I hope this helps you to think about what we can do to improve our mitochondrial health. Improving your diet, exercise, intermittent fasting, managing stress, making sure you sleep properly, getting outside into the sun, doing some hormetic stress, cold exposure, heat exposure. All this can really help you prioritize your health, optimize mitochondrial function, reduce your risk of chronic conditions like cancer, mental health conditions, and in that, you can have lots of energy to do whatever you want and live better and thrive. Let me know what you think about this episode of Mitochondrial Health, and I hope this helps you to prioritize your lifestyle Thank you for staying tuned to this episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Dr. Charlton, Lifestyle GP. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Before we wrap up, I have an exciting news to share. I have a new ebook called Low Carb Made Easy. It's now available. This guide is perfect for anyone looking to dive into the low carb lifestyle. Inside, you'll find the basic theory behind low carb eating, a detailed food list, practical meal plan, and a variety of delicious recipes. It's designed to make a journey to better health easier, simpler, and enjoyable. For those who prefer a hard copy, head over to my website and register your interest using the link provided. My website is www.mlcclinic.com.au. Head to online store. Remember, the information shared in this podcast, it's for educational purposes only and not proper medical advice. Always consult your medical professional before making any changes to your lifestyle and diet, or you can come and see me in Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with us on social media. Your feedback will help us improve and reach more listeners. Lastly, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family. Together, we can make a positive impact to our health and our communities. Thanks again for listening, and as always, stay healthy and happy. Until next time.